Hello, hello, hello. Hey, Chuck, good to see you here in Central Florida, Bigfoot. I guess you're here. Um, we'll chat just for a couple of minutes. Just kind of ramble. Wait, see if anybody else comes in. Yeah, I got Central Florida Bigfoot here. Good to see you, brother. And I've got Rob on site with me. He's going to be assisting me, kind of like anybody who has any questions. He's going to write them down so that way I can concentrate on what I've got to say. Anyway, my grandson was born yesterday, number 14. So, I'm just trying to think of something to say just to kill a couple of minutes. Hell with it. I'm going to get into it. If people don't come in live, that's fine. Can watch once it posts. This is going to be a little bit different from most of my other videos because of what had happened. I kind of hold back a little bit on some of the things that happen. But with this, we're definitely going to be diving into the Peruvial deep end. This kind of started before I even went on this last trip, which was up at Crazy Town. Was up there March 30th, Tuesday, March 30th through Sunday, April 4th. And prior to that trip, my partner Chuck had texted me, wanted me to watch one of the how to hunt videos. And I think the guy who was on there went by the Owl guy. And, so when I got to the video and started watching it, I was about 2 minutes into it. And and I'm sitting here at my house watching it and I got zapped. And it's been a little while since I've had that happen here at the house. But, I got zapped nonetheless, which I thought was pretty interesting. So I called Chuck up. And let me back up. Before I called Chuck up, I'd gone into my backyard and there was a raven on the crest of my house, and he was cawing at me, and I was cawing back, wah. And I kind of looked over his shoulder off in the direction of Rose Creek and flew off. And and that's not that big of a deal until a little later. I went out into my garage and I heard the raven again cawing, and I went out and and I cawed back at him a couple of times. I said, I think I know what's going on, who you are. And he flew off in the direction of Crazy Town, which from where I live is to the northeast. This raven was a lot bigger than most of the ravens that are in this area. So I found it uniquely interesting, being that the interactions that I have when I'm out in the field with the ravens, the Apache Indians say that the raven is the eyes of the hairy man, and with everything that I and we have come to experience, that seems to be factual. So anyway, I had this deal with the raven, and so I'd called Chuck up and was explaining to him what was going on, and I had this inside of me being drawn to get up to Crazy Town. It was important for me to be up there. And while I was talking with Chuck on the phone about this video that he wanted me to watch, I got zapped again, and it was a kind of a familiar zap. And what I mean by that is, with over 7,000 hours in the field in the last 3.5 years, I'm starting to get to the point where I can, it seems like there is a personal signature behind some of these zaps. So anyway, I got zapped while I was talking to him, and he asked me, "Do you think it's Tureen?" At the same time, I was kind of thinking that, and I said, "I don't know." And he says, "Well, why don't you ask if that's Tureen?" And so I did, and I immediately got zapped. So I'm going to stop right there. We've got the names of Chuck can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think up to this point we have the names of 31 different individuals. With all the interactions that we have, we've gotten to the point to where, let's ask them that, if they have a name, what their name is. We haven't got Daryl yet. But, anyway, they're very proud of who they are, and they're very proud of their families. And so, logical step is, do you have a name? What's your name? And, to date, we've got 31 names. Chireen is one of them, and she lives in the area of where Crazy Town is. So I had the confirmation it was Chireen that really wanted me to get up to Crazy Town. And so I was chomping at the bits, and was going to go up on Wednesday, the 31st of March, but decided I was going to take it. I've just going up on Tuesday, the 30th. So I went up on Tuesday, the 30th by myself, and the rest of the crew, Chuck, Wayne, and Rob, were going to meet me up there on Wednesday. So Tuesday, I'm sitting up there by myself, and I'm sure you guys have watched the opening videos where I walked through the camp, kind of showed off my truck, got the skunk on video. That night, I set a fire, which I normally don't, but I did because I don't want to deal with skunks all by myself with one eyeball and in complete darkness. So I had a small fire lit, and I'm not going to beat around too much with this because I made the video about it. Had the clack behind me, told them I hear you over there, and got power zapped. Well, I got the name of that individual, and he's one of the elders, and his name is Tark, Tark, and that's the individual that I saw. That I had described in the video that I had made. And I was going to do another video about the recreation that Chuck and I was going to do. And I'm going to time out there because I looked over. Hey, guys, I'm going to say hi, but I'm not going to be looking at the chat much tonight. I got Rob sitting across from me, and he's going to be kind of like my moderator tonight. So if you have questions as I'm going along, put them in caps. He will write them down, and throughout the show, I will get to them, but I'm not going to get to them right away because there's just so much information that I've got to get out. It's just way too much information to do videos up on site and try and download them because it takes way too long for my videos to download. But so anyway, Chuck and I had did the recreation of the night sighting that I had because the fire had kind of flared up just as he went from my right to my left across. If he would have turned and looked at me, I would have been able to see facial features. He was that close to me. Being that he was hunched over when he went by, estimating 8 to 9 foot tall, probably about 3 times as thick as what Chuck is. I mean, he had quite a bit of bulk to him. He was brown, kind of like what you would picture the color of a grizzly bear. But he was upright, 2 feet, see the arms swinging, see the legs moving, the whole 9 yards. So Tuesday night went by and was really intense. On Wednesday, Wayne got in, Chuck came in, Rob came in, and I might kind of mix nights up here because there's just so much that went on. It was Wednesday night, I believe. that I'd got the mind speak that something special was going to happen. And I think I kind of misunderstood part of it, part of what was being said to me, because, the mind speak is like thoughts entering my head that are not my own, and, trying to differentiate between my own thought and this, this other communication coming in through telepathy. It was like it didn't have anything to do with me. It had something to do with one of the other three that were there, and it was supposed to be something really special. And that's the way I understood it. And really nothing special happened that night. We saw some shimmering images. We'd seen some twinkle lights, and but nothing real spectacular had happened. Now I'm going to pause there for a second. Rob, was that the night that
I found out about the
okay, yeah. So I got Rob was wanting to know about getting a teacher, and I'll explain that just briefly, and then if anybody has questions about it later on, I'll answer it. If they take an interest in you, and if they find you to be trustworthy, and whatever their rules and regulations are, I don't have the slightest clue, but they will assign like a teacher to you. That's the words that we use. Once again, I'm not out to prove anything to anybody. I'm out for the experience and to share my experience, and this is what happens. So I got the communication that Rob got a teacher, and got the name of that teacher, which is a female, and that was Trake, like Trake. And so Rob's getting all excited and happy, and he's about ready to pop out of his shoes. And about the same time, I get a communication for Wayne, and I'm not going to go into that, but it kind of let the cells out of some things, and got us, changed the pitch and the mood of the night. And it wasn't nothing bad or negative. It was just something that needs to get figured out. So this is the kind of stuff that was going on, and then the activity finally started to die off, and so we decided to call it a night. And so that was Wednesday night. Thursday night, God, I'm drawing a blank.
I found out Wayne has a teacher.
What's that?
Wayne has one.
Yeah. That Wayne has a teacher.
That was Thursday night.
Yeah, that Wayne has a teacher, and that was Creighton, I believe was the name of it. I could look it up on my phone because I wrote it down. But it was still a lot of the same activity, but we had more individuals around us. Not only could we hear them moving around, but we can see the shadows moving past us, and what we call the shimmering images, or a distortion, because it's kind of like a distortion of light. But we had them moving around us, and I'm trying to remember. Chuck, do you remember Cadron was the name. Thanks, Chuck. Do you remember if Thursday night, because it was Friday night that I got the message, but I'm trying to remember, was there anything outstanding on Thursday night that I'm forgetting? Just type it in. Rob will write it down and get it to me. So anyway, we'll move past Thursday night. Friday night comes along, and yes, okay, I remember what happened Thursday night. I was getting a communication that they were concerned about a camera, and I was thinking that it had something to do with maybe somebody had a trail camera set up in the area. I got more of the mind speak on that, and what it had to do with when Chuck pulled into the campsite, his dash camera, he forgot to unplug it out of the cigarette lighter, so the camera was on. And they don't like cameras. They know what they are. And, so there was some concern about that. And so Chuck had apologized to him, that it wasn't something intentional. We weren't trying to trick him. And, as soon as he realized it was on, he unplugged it, and they seemed to be okay with that. And so then, the activity kind of died out a little bit after that. So Friday, give me just a minute. So Friday night, we have what seemed like a stadium full, not literally that many people, forest people there, but it was pretty intense. We could see them moving all around us. We could see them moving next to us. At one point, I had put my hand out to my side where I could see one, and my hand disappeared inside the distortion. And Chuck had asked how many, let me back up. We're in a valley. There's a mountain to our right and a mountain, or to one side of us, and a mountain to the other side. And this area seems to be a training ground for the juveniles. So typically one family group will come down or the other family group, but I don't think that we've had both down at the same time. And that's what seemed to be going on. And Chuck asked, how many of you are here? And I got all. And so that made sense that all of them were there. And, so now I'm starting to get a little intrigued what's going on. I can't 13. See it. Yeah. I'm getting intrigued about it. And then Chuck asks, well, how many? And I got 13. Now hold that number in your head, because there's a key point to that. Then I get, do you remember me? Well, there's only one location that I've researched that I've only been to one time. I was there for 2 nights. And so I asked Chuck to say some of the names of the individuals that we know in this particular area. And when he said Naya, I immediately got zapped. And I think, if I remember correctly, Chuck got zapped at that time also, as a confirmation that that's who it was this female called Naya. And, so now I'm blown out of the water, because this is 150 miles away from where we're at, probably. And so now I've got an individual from that location where we're at. And like I was saying, we had, they were all around us. It was the most intense interaction episode as far as the amount of individuals that were there. And Rob had got touched on the shoulder. And
I'm positive it was
what's that?
Teacher. I'm positive.
Yeah, and he's positive it was what we call his teacher. So this is going on. We're getting the twinkle lights, periodically hearing some clacks. Excuse me. And then I get mind speak. And the first things out of my mouth was, I believe it was, oh no, did I hear that correctly? And then I got it again. And what I got was that the individual that I refer to as Indy, whose name is Yedengon, who is the one that the primary elder up at Squatch Camp that I first met. Anybody who is curious to know more about it, you have to go back to my previous videos. Go back to the beginning, watch from the start. He's the one that I saw that stands about 11 foot tall, has the footprint 10.5 inches across at the toes, 23 inches in length. Just a lot of interactions with him. He was my teacher. He was the one who chose me. You know, you don't choose anybody. Everything is entirely up to them. And he's the one that chose me. He's the one I had the interaction with when I was a Boy Scout. But the mind speak that I got was that he had died. And I had immediately got hit with the emotions of all of them that were there simultaneously. I'm guessing this went on for probably a half hour or longer. I mean, I was crying, you know, to experience something as intense as that is, you know, is an honor. It's beyond an honor. You know, I'm very grateful that I have developed that trust level with them, that they would share something like that with me. Now, to get back to the 13, out of all the family groups that I deal with, out of all the locations, there was 2 individuals as representatives there. And what I got in the mind speak is that they all came in to make sure I was going to be okay when I was given that information. And the fact that Chuck, Rob, and Wayne were there to experience it, you know, I can't speak for them other than, you know, what they said, that they could feel the sadness. The amount of emotion that I was hit with, I've only experienced it once before, but not anywhere near as intense as what this was. Indy was the senior elder. You know, we're still trying to understand how their hierarchy works. They do have a hierarchy, and he was very, very important to him. At one point, Chuck had asked how he passed, and what I got was that it was just his time. And how old was he? And the number I got in my head was 225 years old. I have no way of verifying that, but I trust what I'm being told. And this comes into play with, you know, the level of interactions that we have, is the level of trust and respect that we hold them in, you know, because they're so much smarter than we are. I've stated this over and over and over. They're very proud of their families. They're very proud of each other. And in return, we treat them with that kind of pride and that kind of respect. You know, so anyway, this had happened, like I said, it was probably 30, 40, maybe 40 minutes. At one point I got up and kind of went off on my own, and, you know, because I didn't want to, you know, sit here and cry in front of everybody. But, you know, it's, you know, I'm not too big of a person to say that I don't, you know, I cry, you know, and especially with emotions like that. It was, I don't even think intense is the right words for it. But now I got to back up, because I just remembered something else that had happened on Thursday night. On Thursday night, I had gone to sit down in my chair and I got frozen. I was about a quarter of the way into the sitting position, and it was like they didn't want me to sit down, but at the same time, somebody else wanted me to sit down. So it was like there was, you know, a struggle between them. either sit down or stand up, but I couldn't move. I was paralyzed, and it felt like I had 600, 700 pounds sitting on my shoulders. And after a few minutes, my muscle, anybody who's been in the military and got to experience muscle failure, that's what I was just about to go into, because I just couldn't hold the weight anymore. So there's one of those things. How the hell does that happen? Why does it happen? I don't know. It happened. So moving forward, back to Friday night, things kind of settled down. But the image I had in my head is that they were all standing, with their arms to their side and their head bowed, in a proud reverence for Indy, whose actual name was Aidengon, but it's just kind of hard to say, so I just called him Indy. Made it easier. So Saturday, some other campers came in down at the end of the campground, and it was two females, and we went down and talked to them, and Chuck and I always do. We see somebody new and we go talk to them. That's how you end up with people like Rob on your team. But
That'll teach you.
Yeah, so they were real receptive, and they wanted to know more, and so we invited them up to our camp. So they came up around lunchtime, and we all just sat around, and we kind of laid it all on the line, and told them what we knew and what we've experienced, and did our best to answer any questions that they had. And so we invited them to do the night sit with us Saturday night. And I promise you, their world got rocked. They were two sisters, and the younger sister, she had got zapped first, and she's like, "Oh, what is that?" But listening to us, and I'm back up a little bit. I'd got zapped. Wayne or Rob got or.
Right before Jessica got zapped, I said there's a distortion by her, and then she got nailed.
Yeah, Rob said there was a distortion right by her, and then that's when she got nailed. But she had heard Chuck and I both, when we got zapped, we can feel that. You can turn it up if you want, and that's what we do. Because sometimes it starts off as as what we call a light zap or a mild zap, and you can ask them, stop that. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable, and they'll stop. Or you can make that stronger if you like, and majority of the time they do. They'll hit the rheostat and crank it up on you, and that's what they did to her. And she was just like, "Oh my God, this is real." And I just started chuckling. I was kind of like, "Well, welcome to the party." And and they were seeing twinkle lights, and the younger sister had asked the older sister something, and she didn't respond, and she was kind of sitting off to my right. And I looked at her, and I immediately knew what was going on with her, that they were doing a download on her. And her sister got a little concerned and asked her the question again, and she just kind of held her finger up, and she goes, and I don't remember exactly what she said, but she said, "I feel the most intense empathy." Empathy was the word she used. She has medical issues, and before she even said anything, she had started to cry a little bit. We're sitting in the dark, and so you can't see her face, but when you hear the sniffles, and we knew that she was crying, and somebody was getting ready to say something. I was like, "No, stop. Let her experience it." And that's what she did. And by it, we or I had asked if she has any medical issues that you can do any work on, we would greatly appreciate it. Um, and so I don't know too much of what happened either one. After that, I did talk to them the next morning, and they said they really didn't, have anything happen at the campsite after they had left and went to bed. And we didn't have a whole lot happen after that. And so the next morning, packed up and came home. But it was just too much to sit and try and do videos out on site and then try and download them, because a 15-minute video, for some reason, it takes the last video I uploaded about the sighting, that took almost 2 hours to upload. So there's something going on with my YouTube, and I can't figure out what it is. So I just decided, I'm just going to come on live and lay it all on the line and talk about everything that happened. And, so there it is. If you guys have, I see I got a couple of questions here, but if you have them, please put them in cap lock so it's easier for Rob to have. Lil Skill asks, have you gotten hints before about the long lifespan like this before? Yes. It hasn't been anything real specific. There's another one that she's in her 90s that I've gotten. Chuck's gotten that. A lot of the time, when they're in and we're asking questions, and when they feel like responding, a lot of times it's, are you young or are you old? Young. How old are you? And sometimes they won't answer. Operating under the thought that they probably live about 3 times what our lifespan is. Chuck knows of another one in another research area that's in excess of 300 plus years old. There's another one that, if I'm remembering correctly, was 121 years old. So yeah, we've got the idea that that they live approximately 3 times the amount of, or their lifespan's 3 times of what ours is. Which the interesting part about that is, you think, like Indy, who was 225 years old, that means he was born in 1796. There were no Anglo-Saxons in the Arizona area in 1796. So he was alive and watched the Anglo-Saxons come in. He was alive and to watch the destruction of the forests and how we kill each other. And, he's seen it all. So you wonder why they don't want anything to do with us. And give me a second. This is saying my battery is running low, and I don't know why. I'm plugged in. So give me a second and we'll get things. There we go. Sorry about that. I had to check connections. Now I lost my train of thought.
Talking about age, approximate.
Yeah, I know we're talking about the proximity. Oh, about, the things that Indy has seen over his life as far as the human race. I'm absolutely positive that he used to interact with the Native Americans that lived in the area, and probably routinely traded with them. We all know that they were more spiritual and more of the earth than what people are today. And so people wonder why they're so hard to find, and why some people get interactions and why some people don't. Um, that's a good possibility because they've sat and watched us for hundreds of years and they don't like us. Frankly speaking, we're assholes. Um, we destroy everything, we burn everything, we trash everything, cut down trees, pave roads, put power lines in, build houses, and we have completely encroached on their way of life. So that's about the best I can answer that question. Um, Jane Doe asked, download of what? Asked about this after you said. I am operating under the assumption. No, I shouldn't say assumption. This is my theory, which is a very expensive word for a guess, that when you're getting zapped, they're tapping into you somehow neurologically, and they learn everything about you. They know from day one to that moment everything about you. Can I prove it dogmatically? No, I can't. But that's the theory I'm operating under. Once again, I'm over 7,000 hours boots on the ground in the past 3.5 years. I challenge, anybody that to come out with me, because I will put my money where my mouth is. I'm not doing this out of arrogance. I'm doing this out of experience, and what the experience is teaching me because of my own personal experiences, things that I felt, things that have happened, causes me to come up with ideas and theories. At it, I'm not locked solid on any theory because I can't be. And something happens that causes me to change my way of thinking. Well, then the theory will have to change. But so far in the last over 7,000 hours, it stayed pretty constant. So Jane Doe says she heard they can live for thousands of years. And that could be. I don't know. What I do know is Indy was 225 years old and he died of, it was his time to die. Take that for what you will. None of us are going to know exactly how long they live, until one comes and sits down in camp across from me and says, okay, turn on the video camera, get out your notebook. I'm going to tell you everything. And that ain't going to happen. I hope it happens. I wish it would happen, but this is all a learning process and getting to understand who they are, why they do what they do, and showing them the respect that they deserve. That's what's led us to get to the level where we're at. We don't go out and bang on trees. We don't set up video cameras. I've stated this over and over and over and over, that I'm not going to run around the forest acting like the paparazzi, because all that does is piss them off. If you want to have interactions, you don't want to have an interaction with them, go out with a camera. Try and take video of them, try and take pictures. You might get a glimpse of something. Ooh. The habituation methodology that we operate under has seriously broken all the rules of the game. It's these people have been out pounding on trees and setting trail cameras, and I've got to get proof of them. I got to get evidence, and more power to you. If it ever happens, I'm happy for you. That's not my MO. That's not what I'm about. I'm about learning who they are from them. Not, I don't sit on the keyboard and go, oh, I've got an idea of what they might do with this, or I heard from somebody else that this is what they do. Now, I'm out there. I'm putting the boots on the ground, and anybody wants to come out with me, I'd be more than happy to take you out. We just have rules that you have to follow, and I can't promise anybody that they'll experience anything, but what I can promise is I've never been out and not experienced something on a nightly basis, whether it's something really, really small or something real powerful like this last trip. All right, so anybody have any questions? Yeah, little. Do they speak audibly as well? Absolutely. I have some of their audio downloaded on SoundCloud. If you go to SoundCloud and type in my name, Kevin Keeney, KEVIN KEHNE, I have audio clips on there of them speaking. They do have their own language. They also speak English. They speak Spanish. I'm sure they can speak every language of anything that's ever lived in whatever territory that they're in. You live somewhere for hundreds of years, and you sit and watch the local folk. Yeah, you're going to learn their language. But yes, they absolutely 100% have their own language. And I see the comment in there about Kerry from Bigfoot Odyssey. Great guy, love him to death. Yeah, and I tried watching one of the videos from his trip to Florida. Between doing Papa Daycare and other things, I wasn't able to pay much close attention to it. Daniela was on there. I love Daniela to death. I've been on her show a couple of times as well. It was the episode with Leon, and there's some differences in opinions there, and I'm going to be frankly honest. It's hard for me, knowing what I know and to have experienced what I've experienced, and and to listen to someone say that this is what they have to be, and they can't, it's not possible that they can do that, because I'm here to tell you, it's not only possible, it's very real. I've stated before, I got a beautiful wife. I got great kids. I got a lot of grandkids. They all live around here. And there's a lot of things in the world I could be doing other than spending majority of my time up in the, out in the wilderness. But, this is something important, and it's information that I need to know personally. And so, but I don't have anything negative to say about any of the other researchers out there, other than I've just gotten farther ahead than most. Okay. I'm looking at little skills. I'm sorry, you're writing too slow, Rob. Little skill, do I have any idea how your zaps differ from the ones that leave people feeling ill? They have the ability to make you feel ill. They have the ability to make you afraid. They have the ability to put love in your heart. They have the ability to make you feel like you need to leave. They can make you feel all kinds of things, and to feel physically ill. The first thing that you have to understand, they do not operate under the same laws of physics that we do. As off the wall as that sounds, and as many people want to say that's not possible, I'm telling you, I'm out there, I'm experiencing it. It's possible. It's caused me to dive headfirst into quantum physics. So, yes, they can do things to make you ill. The zapping, and I'm going to tell you right now, is not, and I repeat, is not infrasound. I've had more than enough experiences um, that that we've come to the conclusion that it can't be infrasound. You know, my son's holding his son. My grandson gets power zap. My son feels nothing. Then my son gets power zap. My grandson feels nothing. Chuck and I are sitting next to each other. I get power zapped. He feels nothing. Vice versa. Um, I'm sitting there holding my wife's hand. She gets zapped. I feel nothing. I'm holding her hand. All right. How does that, how does that happen? I don't have answers for it. All I can give you is, what my thoughts on it are. Jane Doe asks, what is the most surprising thing you have learned from them? That's kind of a broad question because there's so many different levels. I'd have to say the most surprising thing that I've learned from them, I don't know. Because I'm constantly learning new stuff. I'll give you an example. 1,600-pound, 11-foot tall individual goes running through the forest. I see him, makes no more noise than a butterfly. How do you do that? So I've learned that they can move through, through the mass of the forest and make no sound. I've learned that they absolutely trust me. They have the ability to heal. I'm kind of grasping at straws of, maybe you can specify, something that you're looking for an answer to that. It's so wide open because so many different things happen and there's so many interesting and special things that are involved with each and every interaction. When a light lights up on the side of the tree, but there's no light shining on the tree, there's light coming, and it's not even coming out of the tree. It's like I'm seeing inside. Was I seeing into another dimension? I don't know. What does a portal look like? I know what science fiction movies tell us portals look like. I don't know what it was. I don't even have the words to describe it other than it was very bright. It was in the shape of a 2x4, started about 18 inches off the ground, went up 8 to 10 feet on the side of the tree. It was pitch dark, like being in the bottom of a coal mine. There was no light shining on the tree. There was no light on the outside of the tree. There was no light on the ground. So no light was broadcasting, but I could see in, and it was the most brilliant white light I've ever seen. What was it? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't even really know how to explain it. Little skill. Are they still wary to just sit and hang out in physical form? This is going to be kind of a two-part answer. The first part is the most simplified. They do what they do when they do it. And the other part of it is they have rules that they have to follow. They're more under observing us than interacting. And I don't know if it's some are allowed to interact and some aren't. Maybe you have to reach a certain age. Maybe you have to reach a certain part of their hierarchy. I don't know. Your guess is good as mine. They do what they do when they do it.
She retracted that, but she did ask it. Is it like hypnosis?
Okay. The question was redacted about was it like hypnosis? No. I have never experienced anything like a hypnosis. I have experienced to where I'm physically here, but somewhere else at the same time. That happened to me one night. It was mind-boggling. Oh, here's another mind-boggling thing for you that happened. It was either Wednesday night or Thursday night. I'm blind. This is prosthetic. Okay. I have one eyeball. I see out of this. I see two-dimensionally. My depth perception is horrible out to a certain distance. And then after that, the mind starts fixing all that. Second time this has happened to me, I was able to see out of this eye. I had full peripheral. I was seeing three-dimensionally. Explain that one. Explain how that works. I can't. For 5 minutes, I'm telling you, it was, you know, you'd have to experience what it's like to lose vision to understand the joy of being able to see again when there's physically no eyeball here. It's a prosthetic. Little Skill asks, have they explicitly referred to rules? Yes. Couple of times. They have rules that they have to follow. And that's why I said what I said, that they have rules and they're mostly to observe. And that's, I don't understand why one gets to interact and another one doesn't, you know, because we'll have 6 or 7, 10, 12 of them around us, and we might get interaction from 2 or 3 of them. But we can physically see the other individuals around us, whether they're in a solid form or whether they're in what we call the shimmering image or a distortion. A lot of people in the Bigfoot community like to use the word cloaked. I despise that term. I've stated it over and over because that immediately causes one's mind to start thinking scientific or science fiction. Oh, it's Predator, science fiction movies. It's very similar to that. Very similar to that. So for sake of conversation, cloaked individuals around us. I use shimmering image or a distortion because that's what it is. Oh, hi, Christina. How you doing, sweetheart? Got to get you out again this year. What do you think about the guy from Florida interview on Bigfoot Odyssey? He was seriously traumatized about his encounter. I haven't seen that yet, Christina. You know, there's a lot of stuff that I just don't watch, and there's a lot of stuff that I miss. And I'm hoping to, you know, to sit down and watch all of the video and all of the information that Kerry put out, because, you know, he went to great lengths and great expense to go out and do what he did. And you know, I'm very curious to see how his research went. You know, I kind of have a suspicion, but you know, without seeing any of it, I don't know. And, you know, for somebody to be seriously traumatized about an encounter without even knowing anything about it, I can't speak on it. I just don't know. And Mid-South Sasquatch cryptid research. What's going on in Arizona? Everything. It's amazing. So you're mid-southwest, I'm guessing probably Oklahoma, Missouri area. But yeah, research that I'm doing, and, you know, yes, it's research, and no, it's not. But the interactions, you know, for my first trip, my first 5-day trip out, To have this kind of interaction off the get-go. I can't wait to see what the rest of the year holds. And while I'm saying that, first thing in the morning, I am out of here going to Squatch Camp. Be gone Friday, Saturday, back Sunday, because that's where Indy is from, and I have to go pay some respects. Hey, Rada, have you considered its like matching energies? It could be. I get Zapps. I seem to be a lot more sensitive to them than say Chuck or Rob or Wayne. And the only reason I can think of for that is all the neurological issues that I have. The VA won't do the final test to say, yes, you have MS, but, being exposed to sarin nerve agent 30 years ago in Operation Desert Storm, mustard gas, and all the other crap that they gave us, yes, I have a lot of neurological issues. And I believe that has something to do with why I seem to be, a little more dialed in, maybe a little more tuned into the Zapps. Is that why? I don't know. That's just my scientific wild ass guess. Please elaborate what they said about rules. All right. A question was asked, and I was told we have rules. We're only to observe. I have been told before that we can't do that. I've been told before that we're not allowed to do that. So that's the best I can give you on that. Jane Doe, have they said anything about Earth changes? Good question. I've been asking questions about that, and whenever I ask them, I get nervous energy, and that's the best I can give you. What Earth changes that they know about, or that they're concerned about, or that they laugh at us about, I don't know. All I've gotten was nervous energy. So it would seem that they're nervous about something.
Caught up on all questions. Just there's some statements that you didn't write.
There's some what?
Some statements. Go third from the bottom, Midwest. I was in Tennessee when I was in
Summer and state of the Ozark. No. Yeah, I lived in Kentucky for a couple of years when I was in the Army, so it's wish I would have known then what I knew now. I'd spend a little more time out in the field. Yeah, I would love to get to Missouri, and I'd love to go all over the country and try and experience what I can. I going back to this individual off of Carrie's expedition that was traumatized. Once again, I don't know anything about what he experienced, but I do know what I experienced when I was a Boy Scout, and I was traumatized by it. And I'm not going to speak in this gentleman's case because I know nothing about it. I haven't heard anything about it. I have not talked to him, so I'm not going to say anything on his case. What I can speak about on my case and other people I have talked to is, we're taught things that go bump in the night are bad, and there's monsters out there, and that being out in the wilderness, my first experience, I thought we were going to be eaten alive, 13-year-old Boy Scout. And I was traumatized by it, and the fact that I even went out into the wilderness again is a testament, not to myself, but and I have to back up because I found out that this incident that I had when I was in the Boy Scouts, which literally was about 3.5, 4 miles away as a crow flies away from Squatch Camp, that this was Indy. And so, as far as I know, from confirmation from Indy, that was the first time I met him. But when you interpret what is happening because of what we've been taught all our lives, that may or may not be accurate. Um, it can be traumatizing, and it literally will scare the shit out of you. Um, Other times they will test your metal to see what you're made of. Um, to see if you, I guess, meet their criteria. Once again, I don't know. They do what they do when they do it. Mid Southwest Sasquatch Cryptid Research. What is your opinion about Bigfoot and UFO encounters? I think my opinion on Bigfoot and UFO encounters are the same as humans and UFO encounters. Um, Without me, going off into right field with who and what I believe UFOs are, um, the forest people live here. We live here. UFOs come down, abduct us. UFOs come down, abduct them. I think it's a similar interest. Do I think Bigfoot and UFOs are tied together? No, I don't. I know there's a lot of people who talk about seeing them together. I've had UFO activity at the same time I've had Bigfoot activity, but does that mean that they're tied together? No. Bigfoot's go walking through the forest, UFO comes down, picks up a Bigfoot or interacts with the Bigfoot, somebody sees it. You can't come to the conclusion that they're tied together because people have seen them together. It's that's like saying, are we tied to the UFOs? No, we're not. And I don't, my humble opinion, I don't think the Bigfoots are. I just think people have taken a wild leap of faith into, oh, well, this is a Bigfoot and that's a UFO. They have to be tied together. No, they don't have to be. That's just my opinion on it. So is there a UFO connection? No, I don't think so. I just think it's circumstantial, at the least.
Jane Doe asked the same question.
Yeah, Jane Doe. So is there a UFO connection? No, I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't claim to have all the answers. For every time I think I have an answer, I end up with 600 more questions. But just off of personal observation and, throw a little common sense into the play here. This is kind of why I've coined the phrase, and anybody who's in here or new to my channel probably has not heard this. Don't let your paradigm dictate your experience. Let your experience dictate your paradigm. So if you go into anything with a preconceived notion that they have to be this, or they can only do this, or that's not possible, when you experience the not possible, you have to keep an open mind. We don't know anything close to what we think we know. We don't understand half of what we think we understand, and the half that we do understand, we don't know anything about it. That's the best explanation on that I can give. Man, now you guys got me scratching my head thinking about this guy that was on Kerry's expedition. I won't be able to look into it until I get back from Squatch Camp. But I got to look into it and hear his story.
It's not really a question, but
Maybe the lights are not UFOs. I've seen them. I've seen the craft. I've seen the lights. I always look up at the sky at night. Um, you're not going to see anything if you're not looking up. Uh, the first UFO sighting I had, I was about 7, 8 years old. Family camping trip near Prescott, Arizona, in a place called Lynx Lake. My parents were sleeping in the Volkswagen van. Me and my 2 sisters were laying on the ground outside, talking, staring up at the sky, and the triangle craft goes overhead just above the treetops and made absolutely no sound. Um, no, that was a very real craft. Um, but yeah, lights in the sky and the darts and the things moving around. Yeah, I see it fairly regularly. And being ex-military and from a military family, and almost being in flight school, I'm very familiar with with how aircraft operate, and the things I've seen. I can't imagine that we would have anything in hiding that can go from 0 to Mach 20 without breaking the sound barrier. I mean, I can't fathom how that would work, even with the gravitational field around it. At some point, sorry, there's a bug. At some point in time, I would think the sound barrier would have to be broken. But then again, if they're not tied to the same laws of physics that you and I are, what are they capable of? It's our laws of physics and the way we think that limits what we believe is possible. And let's see, Christina Cave. What times have Bigfoot followed or shown up at home? Why do they follow you home? Well, I'm going to answer the second question first. They do what they do when they do it. I don't know. Yes, I've had them at my house. I know I've talked about it in a previous video, and PTSD issues really bad, blind on this side. My wife, my daughter, and I, we go out to the Renaissance Festival, and it's hot, it's crowded. I can't find anywhere to sit. My knees hurting, my hips hurting, my back's hurting, my head's hurting. My anxieties are skyrocketing, going through the roof. I'm bouncing off people because I don't see them over here. And I get to the point where it's like, I'm going home. We're done. And took my daughter home. Wife and I came home. I smoked marijuana with a medical card for my PTSD issues, and it has always helped. It didn't help this time, and so I just said, screw it, I'm going to bed. And I was saying my prayers, kind of laying on my stomach, and I felt this ever so gentle touch on the back of my head and on my shoulder, and I rolled over, fully expecting to see my wife standing there trying to comfort me because my PTSD is gone. And there's a shimmering image standing there. And I said, is that you, Indy? Yes, and you need to go to sleep. And I was out. Woke up almost 12 hours later feeling like $1 million. There it is. Okay.
Statements.
Okay. David Cameron. Are there times you hear mind speak or think they are trying to make that connection? He does not think I'm capable. He does not believe everybody is.
He doesn't think he's capable
of. What? And good. And I'm glad you're here, David. I haven't seen you for a while. I need to get back up on the mountain together. What I have been told, as far as the mind speak, is that not everybody can hear it. Sometimes I pick it up really well, and other times I don't. And it's like I trying to tune in the radio or something, but sometimes it's crystal clear, and other times it's not. And I'll ask them, I don't understand that. Can you say it again? I didn't understand that. Will you say it again? And sometimes they'll say it over and over and over again, and they almost sound like they're getting frustrated. And but no, I don't always understand it. And yes, they do talk to everybody to a certain degree, but not everybody can hear it, is how it was explained to me. So I hope that answered your question, Dave. Mammy Goodhart, how you doing? Have I seen a Sasquatch baby about 2 feet high or so? Yes. I'll get back to that weird yes. In physical form, your typical Bigfoot individual, forest person. I think it was 2 years ago at Squatch Camp, and I heard a rustling in the bushes, and I just got up to go turn my radio off. I play the radio every night, Native American flute music, and I got up to go turn it off, and right after I turned it off, I heard some rustling in the bushes, and I looked over, and he was just stepping out to go behind a tree, and I said, I see you, and he froze like a statue, and I mean, he froze. To the point to where I was second guessing that I was even looking at him. I kept constantly changing my vantage point left and right, forward a little bit, back a little bit, talking to him the whole time. Little concerned about mommy or big brother being real close by, so I kept my distance. And he finally took his step, went behind the tree, and vanished. It's a fairly open area, no undergrowth, pretty flat ground. I kept changing my vantage point back and forth. I know how to track targets. He vanished. He was about the size of about a 7-8-year-old boy or kid. I'll say. I don't know if it's a boy or girl, but I believe it was a boy. And a week and a half after that, he left his face print on my wife's pickup truck. So. As far as the baby, it was, you get these dreams, but they're not dreams because you can remember every single detail vividly. This is coming up on, this August will be 4 years since I had this dream/vision. It's when I met Indy, and he was introducing his mate to me. And she wouldn't come out from behind this tree. When she finally did, she was holding an infant. So take it for what you will. But the smallest we've seen, physical form, my eye looking at him, was a young juvenile. Sierra Bigfoot, do you think the government types are telling witnesses that they didn't see anything other than a bear? Got to be something deeper. Yeah. If the government can't control it, they don't want you knowing about it. I mean, everybody has heard all the theories on it. I've spent enough time around the government. I understand how they operate, and I've got friends that are in the Forest Service that they're basically not allowed to talk about it. One of the stories Chuck talks about doesn't have anything to do with the government. Well, kind of. Native American government. I'm not going to say where it was at or what, but he had asked, why don't you people talk about this more? And so our tribal leaders tell us, if the white man comes and asks you about it, just look at him, give him that dumb Indian voice, goes, probably a bear. They know about them. They, you know. I don't have brain cells to waste on thinking about why the government does what the government does, because they're going to do what they do. And, you know, look at all the years they say there's no such things as UFO. What you saw was swamp gas reflecting off of, you know, what have you. And now what are they saying? Yes, they exist. You know, so look for some disclosure to come fairly soon would be my guess. But other than that, I don't know. I'm more interested in why the force people, you know, that's where my interest is. You know, I care less what the government's doing. But yeah, I absolutely believe the government knows. Yeah, they're just trying to keep it swept underneath the rug.
Jane Doe needs to quit deleting things after she writes somewhere. She's driving me nuts.
Jane Doe asks, have I had any dogmen experiences? Not that I know of. Last year I had something, I don't know what it was. We were doing our family camp out. We were at Hilltop 91, and I was going to, excuse me, I was going to spend a little extra time up there with one of my grandsons, and we were going to sleep out just on the cots and, you know, see what happened. And just as it was starting to get dark, I got the mind speak, need to leave, not safe. And I was like, I don't understand. And then I wasn't sure that it was just my head or if I was getting the mind speak. And then I got it again. Yeah. And when I got it the second time, everything up there changed. The atmosphere, the lighting, it got real thick. And that, you know, that combat mode kicked in, and I immediately packed everything up. You know, I'm constantly, you know, scanning my areas, and you know, if it was just me, I wouldn't have been so concerned about it. But I have my grandson there. I'm not going to put my grandson in danger, and I have learned that when they tell me I need to leave, to listen to them, or if I need to build a fire, listen to them. What it was, I don't know. All I know is I was told that we were in danger and we needed to leave immediately. And, you know, I already had the truck packed up. All we had out was the cots and the sleeping bags. So all I had to do is get those thrown onto the truck and did him out. But as far as seeing a dog man, no, I've never seen a dog man. Do I believe they exist? Well, other people have said they've seen them. So, you know, at this point in time in the game for me, I will not say anything is impossible, because I've experienced the impossible. As well as Chuck, as well as Rob, as well as Wayne, and just about as well as anybody who's been out with me.
Let me see that one statement.
Oh, Sierra Bigfoot says he missed me on Hilltop 91 last year. Yes, it is very beautiful up there. Yeah, sorry I missed you, man.
The one above it, Blue Dog.
Blue Dog says, I like to think the government keeps it quiet to protect the forest people from all of us idiots. Yes, we use the word idiots. Anybody who doesn't know is a idiot is somebody who comes from the city and goes out in the forest and has no business being out there. They leave all their trash behind, leave CO2 cartridges in fire pits, which is how this happened. People who take little 2-wheel drive cars on 4-wheel drive roads, and I can go on and on and on about city hits. But yeah, I would partially have to agree with that, partially, but I think there's a bigger, deeper reason behind it. What it is, I don't know. Can't put my finger on it. It's just like the Forest Service closed down Squatch Camp for a year and a half and never had a logical reason for why they were closing it down. At one point, they told me they were worried about trees falling on people. And I'm like, what? But well, I know somebody out there has got a question that they want to ask, but might be embarrassed to ask it or scared to ask it. I'm here to answer anything I can. Any question you have is fair game tonight.
Before she deletes it, read it.
Have they indicated if we are genetically related to them? No, I've never had any indication to that. Even though Melba Ketchum's DNA findings say that there is a relationship there, but have they ever said anything? No. Yeah, I frankly have never asked them. Maybe I'll start asking them, stuff like that. That's a good question. That's a good one. Chuck, remember that, because your memory is better than mine, and I'll probably forget it. And
it's wrote down.
Rob's got it written down, so we'll get back to that later. Ding ding. You got it, Jane Doe. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, yeah, Chuck says he's got it. All right. Well, we're at 7:23 my time. I guess we'll give it to 7:30. Give opportunity for more questions to come in, and if I don't get any more questions in, then we'll call it quits. And I'm gonna get the truck loaded so I can head out before sunlight. So.
I had a poke Chuck.
Robert Cope says, Chuck, 30 rules.
Drake is number 30.
Huh?
Drake is number 30.
Okay, I got you. You guys must have a conversation going back and forth. All right. Decided it. I've seen it's got better. I've got a lot to share with you. I bet you do, David. Yeah, definitely look forward to getting up there with you guys again. That was a great experience, and yeah. I'll have to message you and let you know what some of my plans are for time frames when I'm going to be up there. I'm in the process of making my schedule right now. I've got pretty much everything behind me. Grandbaby was born yesterday, and everything's falling into place now. So,
Christina wants to know if you're going to Squatch Camp tomorrow.
Yes, I will be at Squatch Camp tomorrow. But I'm not the only person that's going up there with me is Chuck. This is this trip this weekend is in reference to Indy passing away, and it's please take no offense to it, but I don't want anybody else out there. This is going to be a very somber trip, and yeah, so. I have heard other squatchers share that humans are asleep as groups. That's interesting, Jane Doe. One of the questions that I always have, or that I've always had for them, is why me? Why do I get all this? What's special about me? I'm nobody special, and so I had this dream / vision, and I refer to this individual as Mr. Miyagi because that's what his behavior was like. And Chuck and I were sitting at Hilltop 91, and I watched him walk up, and all three of us were talking. I can't tell you what we were talking about until the point where he said, "I'm going to go now." And I told him, "Wait, I have a few questions. So before you leave, I want to ask you these questions, but I want to remember it when I wake up." And he says, "Well, what are your questions?" And my first question was, "Why me?" And what he shows me is like this holographic image of my brain, and he points to something in there, and it's not the little peanut in there. He points to something in there, and he says, "Because you're awake." So that huh. Wow. What do you think about that, Chuck? I would say that if other squatchers have shared that, that's because they've probably been told the same thing that I was told. That is pretty cool. Never ceases to amaze me. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to talk about this a little more, Chuck, aren't we?
Great dolls asking about matching energy.
Matching energies, I don't know. I don't know if my energy matches their energy. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even have an opinion on that. That's how much I don't know. I can either dazzle you with brilliance or baffle you with bullshit on the answer on that. But the easiest thing is I just don't know. I really don't. Any camping trips for Crazy Town?
Any camping tips?
Oh, camping tips for Crazy Town. Enjoy yourself. No lights, no fires. Enjoy the show. Little powdered donuts. Watch out for skunks. A lot of skunks in there. Make sure you have a toilet with you because there are no facilities. And don't be a idiot and leave your toilet bag on the bushes. Go during the middle of the week. The weekends it'll fill up real quick.
Get the end spot if you can.
And yeah, the very last spot. Okay, David Cameron, book. Have you thought about writing all this down? It would be super good to put one out. A lot would be. Yes, um, I have documented, um, not just on the computer, but also audio every night, every single moment I'm out there. Um, I do have an idea on a book in the future, but I am not even going to get started on it until I've hit 10,000 hours in the field. That's boots on the ground. That's not research time on the computer and watching TV shows. No, it's boots on the ground out in the wilderness interacting with the forest people. When I hit the 10,000 hour mark, yeah, that's probably when I'll start writing the book. I don't want to be one of those people who, write a book on other people's information. This is all firsthand knowledge, firsthand, 1,000 hours. They say nobody is until they've put 10,000 hours of practice into it, or 10,000 hours of study, or blah, 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 blah. I am not an expert. I will never be an expert. There are no experts in this field, and anybody who says that they are an expert, walk away from them. Anybody who says they have all the answers, walk away from them. Just walk away. That's the best advice I can give you. But yeah, so there will be a book in the future. I have a hard time reading books, let alone writing them. So I'm not a reader. I'm a doer. All right, Jane Doe.
That's the last one. But
Jane Doe, have you had an event in your life that may have woke you up, like near-death experience? Oh, Jane Doe, I have had more near-death experiences than I care to think about. I don't think that has anything to do with it. One of the things that I go back to my early childhood. When I was like 3 years old ish, somewhere around in there. It was my family. We always went camping, and I remember when I was real little, we'd go on walks, and I would have to sit on logs and look for bears. And I wish my father was still alive to question him on this. I asked my mom, did I ever see a bear when I was little? I'm like, no, I don't know. And, yeah, it's my wonder is, did I have an experience with the forest people when I was real little, and I tried to tell my dad what I saw, and he just said, oh, it's just a bear. Logically, that would make sense. The other part about it is, out of all my siblings, I'm the only one that is absolutely drawn to be out in the wilderness. Now, I've got, two sisters that love to go camping, but going camping and being out in the wilderness, are two different ball games. I spent a great many years doing long distance solo backpacking, and there was nothing for me to grab my backpack and go disappear in the mountains for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and my longest time was just short of 3 months. I've always had this draw to be out, and so my question to myself is, why has that draw always been there? Why was I, as a child, always, having to stop to look for a bear? So it's just my belief that I had an interaction with them when I was really little, and I've been drawn to them ever since. You know, I believe it's the Apaches that say that once you've been touched by the hairy man, your life will be changed forever. I don't know. My life definitely has been changed. There ain't no doubt about that.
This is a question that came out of a statement. Christina Cave does not, or she believes.
Can trauma, Christina Cave asked, can trauma open a person's mind? I would have to say yes. That was noisy. I just had a notification. Sorry. I would have to say yes. But I want to say it's more on a spiritual level, more so than, you know, something traumatic happens in your life. And, you know, I could be wrong. I don't know. But yeah, I believe it's possible. I believe it's very possible. You know, I drove a truck off the edge of the Salt River Canyon when I was a teenager. That almost killed me. Almost died in combat. I've had so many near-death things that I'm just going to say it's possible. I don't know if a near-death experience is the catalyst to it per se, but it might have something to do with it. But honestly, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's one I might think on for a little bit, but my personal belief is that it's more of a spiritual awakening than anything else. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people with near-death experiences come back with abilities. Yes, that's true. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are born with abilities, you know. So it's, you know, once again, you know, being what my spiritual beliefs are, I would tend to think it has more to do with spiritual understanding and acceptance that you know, there's more going on in life than just what the nuts and bolts of everything is. And I believe people that have the ability to construct that kind of thinking are more apt to have these kind of accesses, or, you know, I don't know. I'm just going to babble on now. And I don't know. What's your thought, Rob?
Sorry,
What?
I was watching the screen. The near-death experiences. I believe it's what demons and spirits can do or tap into. I think that the Bigfoot can also, because of my experiences with the what they call sleep paralysis bullshit. So I think they're using the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same mechanism they use to control us, whatever. So I think there's things that cross over that they act. It's a bridge that they can both use. So, but once you get a near-death experience, I think it opens up Mr. Miyagi's thing of something that opened in there, a Pandora's box, if you want. But what do I know? I believe in Bigfoot.
Yeah, it is late there on the East Coast, and yeah, I'm probably going to pull the plug on this because I've got, like I said, I'm leaving around sunup to head up to Squatch Camp tomorrow, and I'll get some more videos made up there unless it's just so intense I got to come back and go live again. Anyway, I thank all of you for coming. I thank all of the questions. And before I close out, those who watch this after the live and you have questions, you can email me at ArizonaSquatch1, the number one, not the word one, ArizonaSquatch1 at outlook.com. And that's the easiest way to get your questions to me, and you know, I'll do my best to answer them. If I have an answer or I have an idea, I'll give it to you, and if I don't know the answer, I'm just going to tell you I don't know, which is a lot of this. I just don't know. There's a lot of swag going on here.
Arizona SQATC. Arizona Squatch 1 at what?
Outlook. Rob, you're a good moderator. Regardless of Chuck and Wayne say, you are good for something.
See if that's it.
I see nothing.
Well, it's going to be in the writing. It'll pop in.
Arizona Scotch 1 at outlook.com. That is it. All right. All right, folks. Yep, we're going to call this a night. So, as always, love you. Peace out.